Husband plants camera to understand wife's insistence on bringing dog into the shower. Initially, her connection with her dog hadn't been unusual. But as the pair grew closer and closer, odd things began to happen. But before we start, smash the like button, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss out on our upcoming stories. The husband observed his wife's dog following her into the bathroom. He decided to solve the mystery on his own. Hearing the door click shut, he opened up the security app he'd installed on his phone. He was in no way prepared for the discovery that would change their marriage forever. David Knock had easily given in to his wife, Katie, when she asked if they could get a dog. His long workdays at the office meant she was often alone, working from home. He thought that a dog could provide her with companionship while he was away. Only recently married, the 29-year-old couple weren't ready to be parents yet. But their Atlanta, Georgia home was a bit empty, and a pet might fill that space. Katie named her new sidekick Bailey. He was a 1-year-old Australian shepherd, and they had a connection straight away. He was loyal and clever. David was happy that Katie had someone to be with her while he worked late hours, and seeing her delight brought him joy. But he felt unsettled when he realized his wife was never without her new dog. David, an accounting consultant, was a hard worker, committed to working as many hours as necessary to give Katie her dream life. He loved her dearly, and his favorite part of the day was seeing her when he got home. Katie loved David just as much. She made him dinner every night, and they spent all the time they could together. But he never had any clue what she got up to while he was still at work. After several months of hard work, David was rewarded with a promotion that transferred him to a consulting team with more manpower, meaning he could work fewer hours and get home earlier. He was looking forward to sharing the news with her and celebrating together. However, he couldn't have predicted the results of messing with Katie's routine. David came in the front door stealthily. Hopefully, Bailey didn't ruin his plans by running to greet him. He started sneaking down the hall, searching for his wife. But it seemed like no one was home. His search intensified. Bailey's leash was hanging in its spot by the front door. Then David heard the shower running. He relaxed, kicking himself for forgetting to check in the bathroom. She hadn't vanished. She was just showering. However, he heard a voice. It was Katie, but he couldn't make out the words under the sound of the shower. Who could she be talking to? He stepped closer to listen again, but all he heard was the spray of water. He waited until it stopped, then called out, "Honey." In response, there was a sudden crash, then something that sounded like a whine. "You all right?" he asked. "Yeah, I'll be there in a minute," she called back. She walked out of the bathroom with Bailey at her side. "Why are you home so early?" Katie asked, and David shared the news of his promotion. Her lackluster response and timid smile threw him off. He kept thinking about the voice he had heard. He watched Katie and her dog, curious as to their daytime activities while he was still at work. David wouldn't have guessed that Bailey was the missing piece of the puzzle. His curiosity won out as he asked Katie if she was talking to someone in the bathroom. She briefly met his eyes before looking away in a hurry. "Only to Bailey," she claimed. "He keeps me safe when I'm on my own," she added. Concerned that his wife wasn't feeling secure in her own home, David made the decision to take action. But his sincere efforts to keep her safe would only lead to more questions. As David processed his wife's unease, he wondered why she hadn't mentioned it to him before. They had always been open with each other. Why was she relying on her dog to keep her safe instead of telling him about it? Trying to figure out what she thought Bailey could do to protect her while she was in the shower. If she wanted him to guard her, why was she closing him inside the bathroom with her? The first days of David's new job passed slowly as he got used to the new routine of getting home earlier. It wasn't made easier by the fact that Katie was still taking Bailey into the bathroom with her. Even though David was at home, he still regularly heard her voice while she was in the shower. She maintained that it was just Bailey. Doubt crept deeper into his mind. David also picked up on changes in Katie's usual behavior. She seemed preoccupied and anxious, forgetting to do simple tasks like paying bills or buying groceries. He often came home to her sitting on the couch, her forehead clammy, with Bailey lying on top of her protectively. Was she really that scared to be in their home alone? Had there been an incident that traumatized her? He panicked at the thought of failing to keep his wife safe, but wondered why she wouldn't tell him if something bad had happened. After seeing this one too many times, David decided it was time to upgrade their home security. He purchased a doorbell camera which would not only record footage of anyone who approached it, but would also notify them if the front door was opened. He hoped that this precaution would help Katie feel safer, knowing that she could monitor any unwelcome visitors. In the end, it only caused him more concern and confusion. While he was at work the very next day, David received an alert on his phone that the front door had been opened. He checked the camera to see Katie heading out with Bailey on his leash. He relaxed, assuming she was just taking the dog for a walk. It was hours before he got another notification announcing her return. That first day, he assumed she had just been running some errands. But when it started happening regularly, he got uneasy. Where was she going for so long in the middle of her workday? David's thoughts were racing with possibilities. He knew there was something his wife wasn't telling him, but he didn't know what or why. But he kept thinking back to her conversations in the bathroom. He could never make out her words, but he knew she was talking to someone. Was Bailey just an excuse for her to talk to somebody else on the phone? Was this the same somebody who she was going to see while David wasn't home? Unwilling to sit around and be made a fool of, David decided to confront Katie that evening. He waited until she emerged from the bathroom. Bailey was at her side, as always. "Who were you talking to in there?" he demanded. Katie sat down shakily on their bed before responding. "It's just Bailey." Her tone was growing irritated. David found her defensiveness suspicious. He wasn't going to accept her answer so easily. What could Bailey possibly do to keep you safe in the bathroom? She only blinked at him in response, provoking him to take it one step further. "And where are you going all day long when you tell me you're working?" The silence was heavy. David waited expectantly, wondering if his wife would finally be honest with him. That was when he realized that his wife's silence wasn't avoidance. "Oh, you're monitoring me now," she spat at him. David couldn't believe that he was the one getting yelled at when she was the one acting suspiciously. His own rage flared as Bailey whined at Katie's side, and his wife's full attention turned to the dog, dismissing her husband and his questions completely. David stormed out of the bedroom, his feelings hurt. He had done everything to make his wife happy. When she wanted a dog to keep her company, he'd agreed. When she'd felt unsafe, he'd taken precautions for her. And yet she kept choosing Bailey over him, kept concealing her true feelings and actions from him. His pain fueled him to find out once and for all what she was hiding in the bathroom. But would his suspicions be correct? David slept on the couch that night and left for work the next morning without a word to his wife. But as he sat through his meetings, his mind wandering, he came up with a plan. On his way home, he stopped by the security store and bought a small surveillance camera that could be hidden easily. He would hide it in the bathroom and see and hear what Katie was really doing in there. That night, after Katie was asleep, he placed it in the bathroom. He would have the perfect view of it all, and he'd be able to hear everything she was saying, even with the water running. In his mind, her dishonesty justified him secretly observing her. It made him uneasy to spy on her, but this was his last resort. But what he discovered would not only change his life but overwhelm him with guilt too. The next evening he watched anxiously as Katie and Bailey made their way into the bathroom. He swallowed his envy, determined to get an explanation for the strange behavior. As they disappeared behind the door, David opened the surveillance app connected to the camera. His hands shook as he held the small screen, watching his life change before his eyes. The live feed initially revealed nothing unusual. Katie placed her phone down on the counter and got in the shower. Bailey had settled close by, but suddenly he approached the shower and whined. Katie's voice came, "Towel." Bailey and the clever dog brought her towel. David watched as his wife sat on the floor next to the shower, while Bailey grabbed something off the counter, right where Katie had placed her phone. He was caught off guard when he recognized the item. It was an orange pill bottle. He heard his wife weakly say, "Good boy, Bailey. Can you get my water?" The loyal dog obediently followed her command. David watched Bailey lay down on Katie's legs as she took a pill, her body tense. He recognized the anxiety he had attributed to her fears regarding her safety. He realized that she had been telling the truth, but it was a different kind of safety that Bailey brought her. David now understood that his suspicions had been completely wrong. He was overcome with guilt at suspecting her of infidelity when she was clearly suffering through something alone. But his jealousy had quickly transformed into concern for his wife, and his guilt was put on the back burner. Was she unwell? Was it serious? Why was she hiding it from him? The worried husband waited impatiently for Katie to emerge from the bathroom. He was sitting on the bed with his head in his hands when he finally heard the door open. David shot up to support his unsteady wife. He knew that she would be able to tell that he had figured something out, but he still only had a fraction of the whole story. He carefully led her to the bed, where they sat down together, hand in hand. He waited patiently for her to say something. Her revelation devastated him. "I have a chronic illness," she admitted. "Bailey is my service dog. That's why he's always with me." David took a deep, shaky breath. He had been jealous of an animal that was actively helping his wife. "It's called postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome," Katie continued. "My heart rate goes crazy when I go from sitting or lying down to standing up, then I could faint. Bailey can tell when my heart rate increases." She revealed that her long trips out of the house were usually for doctor's appointments or sometimes for extra service dog training with Bailey. She had been hiding it from David because she didn't want him to worry while he worked so hard. David's guilt and concern overshadowed any anger he had felt towards her. He promised her that she was his priority, and that he would always be there to support her. He decreased his hours at work and attended every doctor's appointment with her, researching her condition so he could recognize every sign and symptom. He came to understand Bailey's role better, and the two quickly formed a bond based on their love for Katie. David was grateful that his wife had Bailey when he couldn't be there for her, and the dog always seemed to get extra treats when David came home. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the notification bell so you never miss another unbelievable tale like this one.